So part 2, you're back on the podcast. In fact, this is all you do now is be on my podcast.
To be honest, not many people invite me back, so I'm going to take it as a compliment.
Well,
So,
the feedback that we had was phenomenal. And from a personal standpoint, I've implemented all of your recommendations. Thank you.
oh,
And they work so well. Surveys, little video. Every time someone buys a level 3 or level 4 Pilates course, they get a video from me. Hello, I'm Rachel, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing that
yeah,
tiny little thing makes such a massive difference.
yeah,
And
it does.
you've had some great feedback from people that watched it as well, haven't you?
Yeah, really nice. It's really good, and just that, even just there's a culture of giving bad reviews, but sometimes it's nice. The amount of people that have reached out and said, "Oh, I've listened to what you said. It's really good. Thank you." That's all it takes sometimes. I mean, just a little bit of positivity. We always say about practicing kindness and all this stuff in today's society, and that's part of it as well. But you got people just need a bit of help doing that. Just egging them on a bit, but it works.
It
It
does
works.
work. And I think fit pros, well, people within my network often might be a little bit scared or apprehensive of what this means collecting
Mm,
data. No one's quite sure. How do you collect data? What do you mean by data? People don't respond to surveys, but you really eloquently on the last podcast explained how important it is to keep going with surveys. People get used to it. The perception of you then being a professional that you're constantly asking for feedback really does elevate you as a business and a brand. And I think that was a really important point for people to understand. They may have sent survey monkeys out in the past and got 5% of people filling it in and then think, oh, I'm not going to bother again. Me, case in point. But
mm,
you really illustrated how important that is. And I think not to be scared of data and asking for feedback, that's important
mm.
to understand as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, how many times you walk out of a toilet and it's got that smiley face, and
Yeah.
you're like me, you just think, I'm not pressed it because everyone's just been out the toilet. But airports have got them, and everywhere. You see them all the time.
Yeah,
Every
you
time
do.
you finish a FaceTime or a WhatsApp call or a Teams meeting or a Skype, you get those little stars that come up, and you end up probably ignoring them. Most people do, but even if 5% of people don't, every opportunity you can, that's a touch point, we call it, in sort of this whole experience economy. When we're looking at now is how do we elevate the experience. Someone like me would look at your process and they'll just say, right, where are all the possible contact points? It doesn't matter if they're good ones, strong ones, bad ones, or indifferent. You're just looking at every single opportunity, and then you put something in place for every single one of them. Simple as that. Whether or not some of them are better than others, you won't know whether they're being successful until you've done it consistently. If we go back to the old days when people started writing WordPress blogs, I remember someone saying to me back then, one of the people I was mentoring with. In fact, I sat next to you to Charles Poliquin's
Oh,
um,
yeah.
course, and he did like a business talk at the end. And he said the thing is with a blog, you won't know if it's worked for 5 years because it will take 5 years for enough people to read it. The read rate's got to go up, the feedback's got to come in. But if you start it and then don't keep doing it, then it's more for you because you'll have lost the opportunity. When you begin it, you start the wave. But like all waves, they start with a trickle and then they become bigger. But the people that don't carry on going, it never ever becomes that big wave of destruction or tsunami, whatever you want it to be, because that's what you're trying to do. And again, just going back to your point there about people not filling it in, even if they don't, because you've done it, you've elevated yourself up to the same level as all those other companies that I mentioned, Teams, Zoom, WhatsApp. You're exactly the same now. You shouldn't see yourself as separate for that. Even if you're delivering one class a week as a bit of fun for you because you enjoy doing it in your community, you still should be a professional person with a good reputation, because you've got to remember the end of this story is people are coming to my class because they trust what I do. They understand the brand philosophy or brand promise I'm delivering. And I can't do that if I don't put in all these touch points, because it'll just be hey, I'm here on a Monday at 6 o'clock. If you turn up, great. If you don't, you know what? I'm not bothered because I've got a job anyway. And it doesn't sell a good story, does it?
That's
So
true.
it doesn't.
What other touch points do you think somebody that teaches group acts could maybe, because we talked about surveys last week and we talked about evaluations, sending evaluations to people when they'd been to a class, when at the end of the month or the end of the week, depending on your business. Anything else sort of that we can
Yeah,
expand on
definitely.
that?
I mean, what I would say is, and just for context of what we're talking about, the advice that I give on here are just ideas that I've either seen or used. It's really difficult for me to give a suggestion to an individual's business, because I have no idea. The first thing I'd ever do if I work with anybody would be just show me everything you've got, because then I get an idea of what we can improve. Remember, last time we did this talk, we said that customer experience is a proactive approach, not a reactive approach. So the whole aim of this is to look at the whole cycle of what you're doing and then break it into the touch points. So it's difficult for me to say what the touch points are without knowing. But what I would say is, and for the sake of this presentation, knowing that if we're talking about class instructors that are delivering something like, I'll always use fitness Pilates because I know it's what we've, the bread and butter of where we started. So I'll start with there. If you look at what's a touch point, very simply, if we just said before, during, and after, if we just broke it down to that, bear with me on this. What happens before the class, what happens during, and what happens after? They are 3 individual points you can start to work on. So that's something you can do from now. What are all the opportunities you have before your class? You have maybe an Instagram account, a TikTok, a Twitter, whatever it might be. What are you doing in that stage to then connect with your potential or current participants? It might be a video, and you're a master of doing it, Rachel. You've done it for years. Can't wait tonight. I'm going to such and such gym. I'm going to be delivering this at 7 o'clock tonight. I can't wait. Hopefully you can come and make it, and I might see you there. That's a touch point. That's number 1. Tick it off. It might be that your calendar of the month. You might have a screen image of the month of whatever it is, and you might put all the events on that you're doing. Go, next week we're doing this. So that could be something you promote before. Then you've got, this is the key opportunity, the start of your class. How many people, and I've done it for years, welcome to the class. Sometimes you get, my name's Marvin. Other times I just assume you know who I am. We're going to get started. But you have an opportunity there to actually address everybody in a formal way and give it a really good starting point. So let me just put this again into bigger terms. 40% of the fitness industry is now made up of boutique gyms and fitnesses. So that range from a private Pilates place. It could be a brand, such like an Orange Theory, like a boutique. It could be, Tribe, whatever it could be. I know it keep going on, but there's lots of these independent, higher price point compared to like a community hall or something like that, but a monthly membership that's quite high. What they do very well is they begin the class with some kind of, this is what we're going to do today, and this is our aim. Now, this is important because this is what your brand promises.
Yeah. This is good.
It's just like starting a film or telling a play that you've seen at a school, a drama. If you don't set the scene with a clear aim and objective, if you was writing a lesson plan, sorry to keep giving different examples, but it will resonate with different people different ways. If I was going to write a course tomorrow, the first thing I'd start with is an introduction. This is what we're going to achieve today. This is my aim, and these are my objectives. Now, as a group exercise instructor, we go in, welcome to this class today. It's going to be body weight hit. Let's go. Music's on. Let's smash the quads. Let's jump. Let's you can't do it, go slower. If you can do it, jump higher. That's it. And what happens is, if you think, go into the mindset of that person, right? They go to work the next day, they can't walk. And they say to the person on the desk next to them or office or wherever it is they see, or they try and scuttle past like a crab sideways because they can't walk forward anymore. And they'll say to him, what did you do last night? Oh, I went to Marvin's class. What was it? HIIT training. What did you do? Thousands of squats. Now, that would be my worst nightmare, because I'd want them to say, well, actually, I went to this instructor's class, Marvin, and we did some conditioning. We elevated the metabolic. I'd want this wonderful, but the problem is I've not educated them on what to say.
Yes, good point.
It's great for fat loss. That's not an objective. That's not going to help them to understand the learnings about what you're doing. If we go back to that Pilates example, what you're doing is you're improving posture. But you might say, today's class, we're going to really focus on that lower back. 1 in 2 people have lower back issues. Let's try and unlock that sciatic joint at the back. Let's work on the lower part of your back, which most people are very immobile in. And don't get me wrong, the part of your spine is fused, those lower 5. But what we want to do is strengthen the muscles around it so we can prevent against those injuries. Now, if the next day they're sore, they're going to think back to Marvin's introduction. He said that was our focus point. We had an intent, so I should be feeling it there. Now, if we fast forward to what I said before, during, and after, you're going to dress it up like that. During the class, you're going to reinforce this. So that after the class, what's your aftercare advice? What are you going to put on social media for the next 2 or 3 days? Extra stretches. This is what you might find. It's actually giving you now content. to put on your
Yes, very good.
what to say. You don't need to think. We said this last time about I don't know what to put on social media for content. I'll just go in my garden and do something to a song, and every time it says a word, I'll do push up. It's a meaningless act, really.
Yeah.
It's not helping your brand. It's not helping your followers, and it's not helping you deliver the message. Your message is let's say a brand promise, because that's what this is to deliver something that's going to have an effect or a goal. But if you're not giving it an aim and an objective, and you're setting this up as a class structure, you're not planning your classes with a real aim, then the people that come to your classes are just going to get smashed with whatever it might be, loads of core activation work, loads of sit-up. And for some people, that's great. But is it helping you to attract members, retain members? Is it going to help your efficiency of your class? And I found that when you start doing this, it gives you more meaning, more structure. You think about the exercise selection, and then you start thinking, you know what to say. So the joy, which we haven't addressed, it's naturally there because you always refer back to what am I trying to achieve. For you and I that have written courses, put manuals together, this is for anyone that's never done this before. These are the stepping stones that you follow. If you ever want to write your course in how to stack shopping baskets, wherever it might be, they would say to you, what's the aim of the course? What are you going to achieve by it? What's the objectives? What are you going to do in each section? Teaching blocks, give it a theme. This is what we're going to do in this block. We're going to work on this, and this is why. Follow that up with something at the end. And it might be at the end of your class, but it might be a day later, 2 days later. And then next week, hey, remember last week we worked on that lower back? Well, this week we're going to move on to the upper thoracic spine, and we're going to get as mobile as we can through the shoulder girdle. We're going to increase range of motion here, blah, blah, blah. You've got your next week's content sorted. You're planning because you're following a process now. It's an ecosystem.
Fantastic.
So, you see what I mean? It just helps people to present their brand in a better way. And I will keep calling you a brand, anyone that's listening, because you're a brand. You're either an individual brand. If you're the instructor, they're not going, I went to, Pump Fit X last week. I went to Marvin's class last week.
Yeah.
No one refers to it as the gym's name. So if you're an instructor listening to this, whether it's community hall, whether it's a gym, local authority, or whether it's on the park, it's you they're coming for.
Yeah.
Okay. So present yourself in the best way, because it will reflect on you and whoever else you're representing as well.
You are so true, actually. People do, don't they? You think that they're saying, no, I'm coming to whatever, but they know they say, I'm going to Kirk's class, I'm going to Marv's class, I'm going to Rachel's class all the time, don't they? Good.
Yeah, they do. It's about that. And one last thing on that, on the delivery, I've had it two ways recently, and anyone that's listened to this, if you've never met me before, you think, God, does this guy ever stop for air? I don't sometimes. And I remember when I was very young, I was working down at Fitbro actually in London, and I presented something there, and one of the presenters there, mention no names, he said, do you know what the best thing you can do to improve your class delivery? I was like, yeah, what is it? And like, shut up.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'll take this. And they went, it's not that what you're saying isn't correct. It's not what you're saying isn't good. It's just that you're not putting enough pause to have the impact of that delivery. Say your message and stop and let that sink in. And then if you ever feel like, because I'll tell you what the problem is as well, it's like radio presenters. They don't like what they call dead air.
Yeah.
When no one's talking. Whereas sometimes, and I know it now because I'm more of a participant, I don't teach classes now. But now when I'm in classes, I think the same. I think, instructor, will you just shut up? You just want to, in your head.
You need it to permeate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to do it all the time. And when I became an assessor years ago, again, just after the dinosaurs left the planet, there was a point where you would give somebody marks on positive reinforcement. And what I found from assessing other people was we spent longer telling people what they're doing wrong. And we never once stopped and said, this is what you're doing right. And it never really sunk in until I became a school teacher, because if you're teaching younger adults, 12, 13, 14-year-olds, confidence is driven by positivity.
Yeah.
So if somebody in your class is doing something good, that's what you say.
Yeah.
Well done for holding the plank that way. Well done for getting your hips at the right height. Well done for focusing on your breathing.
Yeah.
Because if not, we're going around going, get your hips up, put your back down, do it. And we know instructors that are like that. I reckon you can name a few locally around here that we know that do that. It becomes like the sergeant major, and you feel like you've been told off and not helped.
Yeah.
So adults are no different. We want to go and help think that we're successful at it. If you think that fitness, is something that's actually it's a failure job, you're going to fail. If you can give up at push-ups or whatever it is you're doing, it's seen as a win in fitness, isn't it? You can't walk the next day; it's a moral victory. But the problem is, for the person that's got to go to work and take their kids and do all this, they see that as there's something wrong.
Yeah, they
So
do.
so last little soapbox on that, just to put it all in an overview. What could you focus on to make it easy? Think of your classes before, during, and after. Think of how many touch points. The reason why I didn't spend so much time in the middle and the during is because your
It
touch
is.
point is you in front of them. So it's your delivery method as well. But then think about, if you say something in your class, that's reinforce that instead of saying it over and over in the class, do a separate video on that. If you want to, some people, again, we've spent a long time on social media talking about this, but maybe we should also flip the narrative and say, what could you do if it's not social media?
Yeah.
And that might be the next thing, because I know that not everyone's as confident as you and I to pick up the phone and video a quick podcast or whatever it might be, and then just pump it out and go, there you go, guys, great content. So there are a lot of people that are just not as confident, and that's absolutely fine, because there's also a demand for you as well, because people like different personality types. I will be too much for some people, and I get that. So what could they do? So if we just go back to the last talk, I know that you've done some work on this. Individuality is another fundamental step in your customer experience approach. And we said last time, how many times have you ever picked up your phone and sent an individual message to one of your class members or one of the members at your gym? And the answer is we probably don't. We normally do that when somebody's cancelling or they've got a problem. So now it becomes reactive, not proactive. So let's set a challenge for everyone that's listening to this. And let's set a number as well, because if we don't put a number on it, people do 1 and then think it's not worked. So let's say 5, right? So everyone's going to have a little bit of a buy into this podcast now. And we want to know in the next few days how many people have done this. 5 people you've got to contact this week. Okay, for no other reason apart from to say hi. Use their full name, or not full name. Middle names don't. Use their name and make it personal. If somebody's just joined your gym, you can get your phone and say, hi, I'm Marvin and Lisa. Thanks for joining the gym. I think you have a great time. If you have any problems, you come and see me. I'm going to be at reception. They've got a great fitness team, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. But using their name, sending something individual, now they have a connection with you. Someone's been to your class, and you might have their contact details. Hi, Jill. Thanks for coming on Wednesday night. Don't worry, I'm only sending this message because we haven't spoke. We don't get time to speak individually in the class, but I do appreciate you coming to class. What I did notice is you had a brilliant, your plank this week was absolutely brilliant. It's come on so much over the last 6 weeks, so keep it going. If you got any problems, let me know. If not, I can't wait to see you next week.
Oh, that's good, Marv. Yeah. So there's no expectation for them to respond or start a big conversation with you. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a video as well. It could be a voice note.
Yeah.
It could be a text message. So again, you've got 3 touch points there.
Yeah.
Do all 3. Send them. The chances are you're not going to ring them and they're going to answer in the middle of the day. But a personalised video or a personalised text, they're all good in their own way. You'll find the people that are more responsive, but you've opened up a connective channel there because you've spoke to them individually. They now feel that, okay, they might not want to send something back now, but if they ever do, they know that you know them and you're on an individual basis. It might be before the class, after the class. It's an opportunity. Everyone's got to do 5. You've got to.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to do 5.
And again, it's another one of these things that you said. It's got to be consistent. I think everyone in the fitness industry will do it for they'll do a few and then they'll drop it off. These things have got to be done over and over again, haven't they?
Once another 5. If you're a gym, make that 10. But if you're individual instructor, it's 5. If you're a gym chain, it's 10. And I think that the more you get into a routine of doing it, the more you get to know people quicker. What if they respond with something? Oh, I'm not in next week. I'm on holiday. I'm going to blah blah blah. No problem. But what are you going to follow up with in the next? If they say I'm going on holiday next Wednesday, I'm not going to be at the class. You go straight to your calendar, and on Tuesday you put in a reminder to send that person a message to have a good holiday.
Oh yeah!
They are giving you the opportunity to help them, because otherwise the only contact you have is your 1 hour class, and that's it. And we all know that that's great until times get tough or something comes up or they don't become long term anymore. We just focus on the short all the time. So create those connections, because once you build that connection, you have now brand advocacy. And wouldn't it be nice if they sit there and they go, oh, do you know what? My Pilates instructor or my whatever instructor just sent me a really nice message. Have a good holiday. See you next week when you get back. Because you guarantee when they come back, they'll probably think, oh, I'm not going this week. I've been on all inclusive. I'll give it a week. But now they might go, now I'll go back. And then next time you see him, go, oh, God, you have a nice holiday. How's the family? It's not much, Rach, but you know what? It's these kind of hospitable moments. These are magical moments now that go above and beyond expectation. No one expects you exclusively to do that. And because you are, that's the differentiator. That's why they come to your class. That's why they put up with the kids' hall that's probably got crisps on it because all the parties this week. But next week, you've swept it up. That's why they do it, because they could quite easily go to another gym or find another instructor or not come at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not much, but these simple things make a big difference.
They really do. And I think we forget, even if you've been teaching a long, long time, you forget these things. So we've got some touch points at the beginning of the class, setting the scene. We've talked about the middle and the end, and sending a message to 5 people who come to you. Any others that spring to mind?
No, I just said the other one was just about if we separate that, and we talked about a lot at the beginning of your class, if we just separate that into another category, and let's call it delivering on your promise. What I'd like people to really think about is, what is your promise to your class? If someone said, why am I going to Marvin or Rachel's class? What are they going for? If it's just, is it a flat stomach? Is it to, get my lower back stronger? But what do you see yourself as a professional person in the fitness industry? You're changing lives. You're looking at wellness. You're looking at improving somebody's lifestyle. And if that's the case, coming to a 1-hour class is only a very small percentage of that. So let's look at what else we can do to add value that people aren't doing. So think about away from the class. You don't need to be hounding people. You don't need to be sending something every 5 minutes, but have a look and reflect on, and we said it last time, does your social media, if that's where you drive your sort of audience, does it reflect what you're trying to promote and achieve? Does it tell a story about, if I look through the last 10 posts on your Instagram, what does it tell me about you? Is it is it that picture of you looking into the sky saying, I'm just thinking, I'm having a moment, reflection? It might be, I don't know, but if 9 out of the last 10 is that post, it doesn't work, but have a look at, could I look at your social media and know what you do, where you do it, what am I going to get from it? And are there things on there, if you're running it as a business, that help me to get to, how does it make it easy for me? What about if you did something like a video of, hey, I'm at this village hall on Tuesday night delivering this class, but what I want to say is, before you get here, the parking lot is here. This is what it looks like.
I got this off you about 20 years ago. We do a big thing on this with all the instructors. I'll say, take a video of parking your car, opening the door, looking at the venue, showing, I know this sounds crazy, but showing ladies where the toilets are, and the amount of people then, and even start the post with, do you have anxiety about coming to a class? Let me show you. Come with me. And you should do a video through like that on your social at least every month. So new people see it, don't they?
Where to put your bag.
What to wear.
Honestly, because that's what, these are the barriers.
Yeah, right? They are. Yeah.
These are the barriers that people don't come to classes.
Yeah.
It's not that they're not ever, once they're in front of you, they've overcome the biggest hurdle, which is turning up. Now you can work your magic and do everything you can, but the biggest barrier is, I don't know where to go. I don't know where I'm going to look an idiot. I want to be at the back. They'll turn up late on their first ever class just to be at the back. Yeah. These kind of things you need to help people with, because that is the reason that, 98% of people don't go to a gym, because they're scared stiffless of coming in, and we're not making it easy for them. And we don't when we're posting videos of how many push-ups you can do in a minute. I've been there. It's great for me. The people that love fitness go, wow, Marvin, you did 1,000. But you know what it really does, it puts off 1,000 people. Yeah, that's what it does. It puts off 1,000. It doesn't attract any more people. So think about that. It's not the you show. We've done it. What can we do? It's not about us. It's about them. So
and another point to yours where I went back after you and I did, and I pushed the podcast everywhere, and I said to some of my groups, they always say, how do people find you? Where are people coming from? Are they finding you on Facebook, Instagram? Everybody always says word of mouth, word of mouth. I said, well, how can you cultivate? So what you're saying today is this is exactly how you can cultivate a word of mouth sort of referral process, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think so. When you look at customer experience, and we really need to work on this, there are 6 fundamentals points of customer experience. Now, when all 6 align, when the stars align, the thing that you get in the middle is brand advocacy, which
Okay.
means you are getting natural referrals, and most of them are word of mouth. So
Yeah.
that's your actual end result, that people
Right.
will naturally go and tell people, you've got to come and try this class with me next week. You've got to come to this gym. No amount of social media posts will get you that. It's a combination of the other 6. I think that's what people, that's the holy grail of it all. People want to go there, so if we think of that as NMI, I mean, what would be really good is if we did this, when you see these workshops with like Tony Robbins,
Yeah.
and they sit there and they go, right, write this down now, and then you make a list. What
Yeah.
would be really useful is, because I know people listening to this are, some are PTs, some are instructors, some are 1 day a week, one night a week. Some people own their own studios. Some people want to own a studio. When I've done this workshop, when I do it now, I do it normally with people internationally. So there's a language barrier. So believe it or not, even my accent gets heard in different. I sometimes try other languages. When people do it, what I try and do is I mix the groups. So you're not sitting with people that do the same as you, because
Yeah.
you'll also only have the same ideas. So if
Yeah.
you take a gym environment, if I've got the receptionist, the PT, the salesperson, and the manager all sat on a table, and I say to them, how are we going to increase trust in our members? They'll all have a different approach. But what it also does is the receptionist teaches the coach teaches the sales. So all of a sudden, you end up with 5 different approaches to the same problem, which now gives you an endless amount of be doing. Because I said last time on the podcast, the person that answers the phone and tells you about the fitness Pilates class is the receptionist, not the coach.
Yeah.
So we spend all this time training the coaches how to deliver a fantastic class, but the person answering the phone said, "I just think they do squats." And then all of a sudden, you've not got a member. So I think that what we could do is, and they won't need to be from the same facility, maybe we'd look at a day where we can get all these
Yeah.
people together, anyone that wants to come, and they can come and listen, and you can do it yourself. So rather than write a list of generic tips,
Yeah.
write your own, and then we can do impact mapping, where we look at what's expensive, what's cheap, what's easy, what's hard, and you'll go away from it with your own list, with your own ideas. So rather than say, Marvin, it's great, can you come to my gym? We've solved it all. We've given them
Yes.
all the tools, and we've given them all this is what you can do as soon as you leave. So maybe if enough people are interested, maybe get in touch with Rachel or comment on here if you're interested.
Yeah.
We can quite certainly look at something very soon. We could put on a day, we can bring in some of the other friends and partners, and we can make it a bit of a networking day.
Yes.
I'm delivering the whole. I've got the presentation sits on my computer all day long.
Sign me up. I'm
Right,
booked on.
it's really cool, and I've got the videos are brilliant. I've got these little videos of different businesses, and some of them make you cry, and other stuff. I'm pulling heartstrings, but it's just a nice It's a nice day because we're not talking about how can make a squat harder and how can we do more push-ups with your rotator cuff that's injured. We just get to go, hold on a minute. Let's just approach it as a holistic view of what do we morally want to do. We want to help people. We want to earn some more money. But we want to enjoy what we're doing. That's all. So there's no sort of pressure on you and then you're in control of your own destiny. Then
And
you go.
Marv, I think lots of people that are watching and listening to this will be group fitness instructors who are teaching, hiring space. Some of them will have big businesses locally. Some will have small. Some will be doing hybrid. Some will be out in the community hiring space or working with local leisure centres, local authority. It'll be real mixed, but or you can tailor this to make a massive impact in all those businesses.
That's 100% what I do anyway. I mean, let's do a brand drop on it. I obviously represent TRX, and we've got a product that's indoors, it's outdoors, it's in communities, out of it. So my day isn't spent just talking to, let's say, a gym that's indoors. I will sometimes be talking to a Duke of Edinburgh group that wants to take people out on outdoor education. Might be looking at a disability group that wants to do things in the community at your local park. Might be talking to a council that wants to do pre and postnatal. So I'm looking at this as a sector, not a will only be good if you're a person that's doing this. And I think that because it's so broad what we could do, that's what the power of the workshop is, because I'll give you time to sit and go, don't let me tell you. I've given you the idea. Now write it down. The feedback that I've got so far on this workshop, I've been doing it for a couple of years now. People go, God, when you're talking, it's a bit like a shut up moment. It triggers like an inspiration. They go, oh my God, it inspires me. I was thinking of something completely different, because we talk about supermarkets, we talk about going, out with your friends, going on holiday, and all it does, it triggers all these happy thoughts of nice places you've been, exceptional customer experience that you've received. There's a hotel, one quick one. It's in LA. It's called the Magic Life, and they outperform other hotels. I think it's about 80%. And we're talking LA here, so it's not like it's the competition's that high. But if you go to LA, all the hotels are very niche. It's got they call it, it's American, a popsicle hotline, right? So you can at any point pick up they're red, a phone, and they'll say popsicle hotline, what flavor do you want? And there's like 4 different flavors you can choose. You say strawberry, within seconds somebody turns up with a silver tray with a white glove with this popsicle on it. It's the most stupidest thing ever, but everyone wants to stay there to test it.
Oh, wow.
They want to test the popsicle hotline. Now, the cost of an ice pop is pence, right? Or cents if you're American. But everyone goes, they outperform every hotel by 80% because they've got a line to bring for an ice lolly. Now, I don't think anyone's going to be doing that in the class next week. What I'm saying is, once I start giving you these examples and start putting on your brain in different directions, it will unlock something else. So even if you spent 4 hours listening to me, and then I never taught you anything, you would probably go home and think of something that was inspired by what I said, and you'd go, aha, we'll give Marvin no credit whatsoever, but I'm now on the way to be a millionaire. Absolutely.
Used to that.
Sleep over it, but it would be great if we could do something like that.
I think we should. I think when we get off the podcast, let's put something together. It would be great. And I know from the first podcast, we had so much good feedback, and it really resonated with everybody. I think, we're all at a level now where this is so crucial, and it's never really been done in our sector before. Nobody's really touched upon this before, so I think it'd be a great workshop. Right, I'm going to nail you to that, Mr. Burton.
No problem. Tell us where you want it, and we'll turn up.
Okay, let's sort it.
Back on tour.
Well, that was awesome. That was really helpful. So, if anybody wants to chat with you, where can they find you?
Best at the moment, I'm hot on LinkedIn because a lot of people that I work with are international. I've got over 30 different markets in Europe and the Middle East that I work with, so it's just easier for them as well because I can talk to them as well. So you'll see me a lot on LinkedIn. If you find my name, send me a connection. Unless you're a manufacturer trying to sell me products from a country for cheap, and I decline you. Generally, if you're an instructor in the health and fitness sector, I normally accept them anyway, because it's LinkedIn's a great networking opportunity for me to just meet other people, and I'm always looking for people to join what I call a focus group. So if you are an instructor or niche and you can help and you want to come on board with any of the projects I'm doing, I'm more than help. I love having these little meetings where we bring people together and brainstorm, and there might be something in it, there might not now, but there might be in the future. You know what the fitness industry is like, so it's
Sounds good.
To do that.
It is. And and you and I are going to tee this up and get an event sorted out for the autumn. Right. Thanks. Oh, well, thanks for joining us again.
No problem.
Thanks, everybody.